name is Miguel. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Singer, songwriter, and producer. You know, to be honest with you, I don't really remember when I fell in love with music. You know, I feel somehow I've always had an affinity for it, and I can remember moments of feeling the music even though I didn't understand the emotion, like romantic love, you know. Hearing, you know, if it's Stevie Wonder sing As, or if it's, you know, David Bowie, you know, talking about going to the moon, you know, with Space Odyssey, Oddity, excuse me. The emotion in the music, obviously I couldn't relate to it as a child, but something about it made me feel something really special, and that's what I do remember, is always feeling it and being very sensitive to how, you know, the emotion really came out of the music. You know, I think as a musician, you have moments of like personal renaissance, you know, and there are definitely albums that kind of help spark that or inspire that and kind of get you to dare to push yourself. Some show you that there is a way, you know, a way to mix and melt and really create a unique sound or sonic and perspective. There's a number of them for me. One that jumps out is Robin Thicke's Cherry Blue Skies. That album, I think, flew way under the radar and was way ahead of its time, even for Robin, I think. But for me, it was perfect. It showed me that I could be soulful and still be in love with rock and roll, you know, and incorporate them in my own way, and that it was okay. So I would definitely have to say that was a pivotal album for me. You know, Wildheart began with a level of self-awareness and, you know, self-worth, you know, understanding self-worth, you know, on a personal level. And I think I wanted to approach this next wave for myself with something greater than just music, you know, with a concept, with a belief system that I could speak to my fans about and use to inspire the people who are paying attention to my music, you know, and my artistry. And so creating Wildheart was really all about, you know, digging deep and figuring out what baggage was kind of holding me back, and accepting and letting go of that baggage. And I think that's what the creative process for me was all about. And in that, I was able to really be candid with myself and transparent with my emotions and not so judgmental, which is, I think, a mark of you know, most artists that I love and respect, that they have a very strong opinion. Sometimes it becomes, you know, that opinion becomes your own worst enemy, you know, and I think this album is an emancipation from, you know, taking myself too seriously and just, you know, enjoying and being in the moment, and that's what Wildheart is really all about. So it was a extremely freeing creative process because of that, and now we're touring with it, and I get to talk about the concepts and the belief system behind the music, which has been brilliant and inspiring, you know, not only to the fans from the response, but, you know, it's completely reciprocated in the way that they, you know, show their appreciation and engagement, you know, being engaged with the ideals. So it's incredible. I think the time that we live in, you know, it's exciting because we're watching culture defy genres. You know, you no longer have to look and dress and talk like hip-hop to love hip-hop, or look and dress like punk to enjoy punk, or salsa, or, you know, country, and so on and so forth. I think, you know, historically, there have been very clear cut lines of what is and what isn't, you know, a certain kind of music. But the way that we appreciate and listen to music now is so different that I think it, it behooves an artist to kind of embrace all of the textures and colors and, tastes and use them in a way that is unique to the artist, because I think that's the way that we all consume and listen to music now. So for me, it's perfect timing. It's like the perfect storm, because that's what my life is about. I've never felt comfortable in a specific box. I think life is meant to color outside of the lines, and I wanted to do that with this album. I want to do that with my career and my legacy, and so there's no better timing than now. The first single off of my album, really is all about living in the moment and recognizing a deeper connection, even when you're just discovering the dynamic of a relationship, even if it's, upon first meeting someone and you get a weird feeling that there's a deeper understanding or a deeper level of connection. It might be that you guys share the same, humor, or love the same movies, or somehow connect to the ideals of, some artist for some reason, or love the same cartoons for the same reasons. It might just be those weird random things, that the je ne sais quoi, and I think, it also speaks to Wildheart mentality and Wildheart spirit. It's just being able to embrace the moment and live in it and ride the wave all the way out. That's what coffee is all about. It's just the spontaneity of spontaneity and true connection in tandem, and exploring that. That's what coffee is all about. Winning a Grammy for Adorn was, that's dream come true for a musician. I think there's nothing more important than having the respect of your peers, but to also be accepted and celebrated and recognized for what you love to do anyways, I think is extremely encouraging and inspiring. And for me, it was life-changing. So I'm sure for most artists, when they win their first Grammy, it's life-changing. And it was definitely life-changing for me. I have to be honest with you, performing the song on the Grammys was the most surreal, and I think really, really impacted the trajectory of my career and the awareness to, the general public about who I am and what I represent and what I do. So, it's just amazing time, yeah. Being from Los Angeles, growing up in San Pedro and Inglewood and everywhere in between, in my city, I think has everything to do with my perspective and intention to kind of include or encapsulate, this sense of, grit and then elegance. It's like the hope and desperation. It's the beauty and the chaos. That is the city I grew up in. Los Angeles is such a place of hopes and dreams, but it's also a place where hopes and dreams get broken. And somehow, some way, that energy has filtered its way into the way that I approach my music. When the sonic is rough and gritty, the approach vocally is very subtle and sweet and light, But when the vocal approach is gritty and rough and rugged, then the music might be a little lighter, And I think I'm always playing with that dynamic because of, what I grew up around and what I saw growing up and what I see now. It's the spirit of this city. And there's an effortless cool, but I think I'll always be reaching, to capture, So that's what Los Angeles has really become to me in my music, and I think people can feel that and see it when they listen. Righteous, righteous, my name is Miguel, and you are live with Grammy Pro.